taking place. All right.
We're going to give a little bit more time to get some more brothers in here.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, my good brother, Dr. Reverend C.J. Holloman. How you doing today, 96?
Doing well. Good to see the brethren together. Good to be here on this call tonight to Zoom.
Absolutely. Good to
Yes,
see
sir.
you. Yeah, bro, Chair, you still got them. They're still logging in.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Will we be able to see the chat function just in case people had questions?
Absolutely. We will be able to.
Good. Yeah, I want this to be extremely interactive, man, because I'm trying to solve problems. Many problems as we can.
Hey, bro, KRS, send out a quick text reminder to the brothers.
Bro, boss, this brother still, I want to say again, fine job this weekend.
Thank you, my good brother. Thank you. Hey, listen, that was a collective effort from many. So the chapter should be extremely proud of what we showcased on Saturday, and that is a collaborative effort from everyone involved, everyone that supported with a ticket purchase, table purchase, ad purchase, any type of sweat equity that came from ensuring that these subcommittees were taken care of. That was the culminating event, and it was one to behold. So the chapter should be proud.
Oh, yes, sir. My guests are still talking about it right now. They text me and everything.
Listen, I did hear about maybe one gripe. Um, People they wanted to party longer. So far, that's the only gripe I've heard.
Hey, hey, you know how it is. What you say? You know how it is when the bros get together.
Hey, they wanted to party longer. But listen, we had to get out of that building by 11:59, or we were going to have to pay an additional $500 per hour.
Oh yeah, but they definitely talking about the white party. So hey,
Brother Chair, what you can do, Brother KRS, he is on making, sending out a text, constant contact rather, to remind the brothers of the call this evening. If you want to, you can go ahead because we don't want to belabor uh, Brother Pugh and his efforts to come to us with his powerful message this evening. So we don't want to be responsible of his time. You can go ahead and get it started. And as brothers come on, they'll have an opportunity to catch up to where we are.
All right. Thank you, brother. Well, welcome, brothers. Good evening, brothers, guests, fathers, mentors, and community supporters. My name is Patrick Dean. I'm the chair for the Fatherhood Initiative, the new Phi chapter of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. So, on behalf of that, I welcome you to this evening's Fatherhood Initiative conversation. The Fatherhood Initiative is one of our fraternity's mandated programs and is grounded in four key tenets: raising awareness, building partnerships, advocacy, and celebration. So, being that this is the prequel to Father's Day weekend, this is going to be a celebration. It's going to be a celebration that builds on strengthening fathers, equipping us with the practical tools, and to help create opportunities for meaningful dialogue that impacts our family and our community. So the discussion tonight is going to continue that commitment as we explore the importance of manhood, fatherhood, leadership, accountability, and legacy. And with that, I'm honored to have our distinguished guests here tonight. And before we get into those introductions, I want to make sure that I have us open up with prayer. So at this stage, we're going to ask Brother State, Brother Mays, to open us up with prayer.
Thank you, Brother Dean, and greetings to each and every one of you, my brothers on the
Greetings.
call on this evening. Greetings, greetings. Let's pray. God, how we thank you for allowing us to see another day, and we're grateful that you kept us safe all the day long. And now, God, we ask that you would clear our minds and steady our hearts and remove all distractions so that we can hear the presentation at hand. We trust, we know that this will be a great time together. And God, just speak to us now. Use Dr. Pugh. He's prepared for this. Use him now in a mighty way. So thank you, God. Thank you so much. Let the brothers come on and listen and learn and just glean from his wisdom and knowledge. In Jesus' name we trust and pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, at this point, we'll allow Brother Basilis and those distinguished guests whom he identifies outside of himself to have a word for us this evening before we get started with the introduction.
Thank you, Brother Chair. Thank you, Brother Chair. Good evening, my good brothers. Good evening.
Good evening.
Brothers, today is an important day for the MUFI chapter as we have an opportunity to execute another phase of our Fatherhood Initiative program, internal program, as relates to our mandated programs. Brother, this is a requirement that each chapter executes the responsibility and requirements associated with our Fatherhood Initiative. And Brother Chair, we thank you for your due diligence to pull this together. We also like to highlight our presenter this evening, which is our very own. He's homegrown, our very own Brother Dr. Marion Christopher Pugh, who is also the State of Georgia Health Initiative Committee Chairman. So he works and serves in many capacities. And so we know anytime he is our guest or our presenter, we are in for a treat. It is always interactive. It is something that we all will learn and be better because we have the opportunity to be exposed to his wisdom and his knowledge in this particular area. So, brother, sit back, relax, pay attention, and I'm sure we are in for a treat. With that, Brother Chair, I yield back to you, my good brother.
Thank you, Brother Basilis. At this point, I just want to introduce I think Brother Chair has said enough about the introduction, but I want you all to know that there was a time when I met Brother Pugh in 2025, and he let us know that you'll never have enough time, but you have more than enough opportunities. Also known for letting us say men have a specific assignment to do exactly what he says. Manhood is about operating outside of your feelings, and the context is the key, not your feelings. So with those words of pearls that he dropped on us, I want to also let you know that Dr. Pugh is a respected educator. He's a servant leader consultant, and he has a platform, Manhood Mindset. And we're going to put in the chat some information about how you can go and get your Thrival Kit. So he's a curator of a Thrival Kit. It's a framework designed to help individuals move beyond survival mode by overcoming fear, distractions, barriers, and self-doubt while pursuing growth and purpose. So with that being said, Brother Pugh, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Chair. Thank you, Brother Bosses. Thank you, Brother State. Thank you, all brothers on the call and everyone to the entire public. Thank you so much for your time and your. I want to just give an honor to the Most High God who has given us life to do this program. Without air in our lungs, we wouldn't be able to function or even do our mandated program. So I appreciate the Most High God for that. And thank you for your families who also sacrifice with you, brothers, for you to be on this call and do the work in our community. So our families, our wives, our children, our mothers, cousins, everybody who's related to us, and everyone who's related to us in our community, whether it be friends, close relatives, or colleagues. They also sacrifice as well too. Happy pre-Father's Day to all the fathers, man. I want to make sure I say that. And when we say Happy Father's Day, we want to make sure we're intentional with the happy. Usually, when we talk about fathers, and one thing that I have noticed in my short years of life, I'm only 44 years old, but I have the opportunity and privilege to talk to a lot of senior men, elder men, seasoned men, experienced men in this life. I'm in the mental health space. I am practicing mental health under the guise of DeVos and Associates, Dr. Delton DeVos, out of Augusta, Georgia, but I practice all over the state of Georgia, giving virtual mental health services. And one of the things that I am noticing is that there's a high trend in new clientele being senior men, seasoned elder men. And a lot of my clients are veterans. And one of the things that I am learning, brothers and our community members, is that manhood is not the same as military warfare, but it has so many different similarities. When you start looking at the discipline that is required for our moves on a daily basis, we have to be extremely intentional, conservative, because we know our consequences are very different from the people that we serve, right? I want y'all to start just thinking to yourselves for a minute, how was I introduced to manhood? Was it through someone's opinion? Was it an image? Was it a talk? Was it a movie? A lot of people right now are struggling with the images of their own father and grandfathers, because one thing I am noticing, gentlemen and guests, is that a lot of people know how to talk about fathers, but a lot of people do not know how to talk to fathers. I'm going to say that again. I know a lot of people know how to talk about fathers, but they don't know how to talk directly to fathers, because I will let you all know, and a lot of our seasoned fathers in our communities have let me know, is that the reason why the words are short because the ears may have been closed. How many of y'all know it may not be beneficial to you to consistently repeat yourself to people who are focused on not hearing you at all? So we notice a lot of our fathers who were short on words, but they were big on action, because I did find out that action does speak louder than words, and pictures are worth the image of our fathers. And some of us reminisce on the pictures of our fathers, but a lot of us don't remember a lot of things that he said. And I will tell you this, he might not have said a lot of things. He may not have been fluent and had a lot of words, but the words that he did say, the things that matter to us most, the skill sets, the talking points, the learning objectives, they stick with us the most. And I will tell you this, and you already know this, people who don't have a lot of words often say things that last long. They have longevity in their statements. So we want to go ahead and honor our fathers with that. I want to start off this evening by letting you all know I like to get straight to the point, what I am seeing, and I want this to be very interactive, but I also want you all to hear what I am saying. One of the things that I am noticing now is that families are deteriorating and they're being broken intentionally because of a few things, but I want you all to see what I'm saying. And this is not a doom and gloom thing. This is just, let's pay attention, right? I am not one of those people that think everything is horrible or bad. There are several fathers out here doing their job. And one of the things I want us to understand is that it is not our job to change a narrative. Our job is to live our assignment. Sometimes when we're so hell-bent on changing narratives, we ended up spending most of our time trying to change someone else's mind that we end up losing our own. And I'm going to repeat what I just said. Sometimes we get focused so much on trying to change a narrative that we forget to write our own story. It is not our job to change narratives, and I will tell you why. Narratives are used for people who cannot really communicate with the main character. I'll say that again. If you ever looked at a movie or heard a short story and the narrator is talking about what they see, but they never communicate directly with the main character, I want you to understand that's what narrators do. And it's not your job to respond to how people see what you do. Your job is to respond to the assignment that was given to our Creator, which is to be a man first. And our first assignment was to be in his image and his likeness. We got to go to Genesis for the blueprint of manhood, because you have to be a man before you'll be a father, right? Now, one thing about fatherhood is that it's an extremely important job, but this is the intricacy of this is the it's very, very peculiar about this job. Being a father does not require a skill set before you offer the position, but it's the most important job on the planet. I'm gonna say that again. Only thing it takes is a split decision for you to become a father, but it's the most important job in the world. Now, for us to be a fruitful father, a father that multiplies, a father that replenishes the earth, the fathers that subdues the earth and has dominion, it does take a skill to step into our God-given assignment. So just to become or have that position, the only thing you have to do is make a choice and live with those consequences. But to flourish as a father, to be in the image and likeness of God, to be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion, it takes a specific skill set. So I want to take y'all to Corinthians 13 and start with verse 4. And what about love? And I want y'all to understand what this is, brothers, because a lot of our community members have entered into this war zone called fatherhood and may not have been introduced to it with specific assignments, logistical steps, and a clear strategy. All right. When you start looking at love, gentlemen and guests, love is patience and patient and kind. Now, this is what I want everybody to understand too. A lot of us have started families with people who are not patient and kind. One of the trends that I am seeing is that a lot of people have took up a responsibility and started a family, but they did not intentionally start a family with their significant other. And the divorces that I'm seeing, the amount of domestic violence that I'm seeing, the amount of verbal disrespect that I'm seeing. And gentlemen, if y'all only knew what I am witnessing with young men going through divorce, it will blow your mind. Sometimes when we are, and I'll give you an example. A lot of the times when people went into fatherhood, I remember the narratives we heard about I would say, our elders and our bridge builders. A long time ago, we used to hear those stories about sometimes our fathers, we found out he had another family across town at his funeral. And I want y'all to understand that in many cases that is true. But gentlemen, I had the privilege and the honor of hearing the stories from the men who are still alive to let me know the details. And one gentleman, he shall remain nameless, but he opened my eyes a lot. He said, Dr. Pugh, I know you deal with a lot of narratives and helping us go against narratives, but I want to ask you a question. He said, have you ever heard of shotgun weddings? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard of it, but kind of give me an example of what you mean. He said, well, shotgun weddings back in my day. He said, a shotgun wedding is when you out there being a young man, you're having a good time. You may date a young lady, y'all were not married, and she ends up pregnant. And depending on the politics of her family, some of their family, the father might have been a politician, might have been a pastor, might have been a very high-ranking official in that town. Some people would tell you, you need to do right by my daughter at gunpoint, right? And I was like, man, that's very deep. He said, it gets deeper. He said, so sometimes when you're actually in a position where you have to take care of a family, a lot of people are not honest about how you actually entered into that realm of fatherhood and husbandhood. Anytime where your free will is compromised, your intent and your purpose is not clear. He said, I'm going to tell you that again, Dr. Pugh. Anytime where your free will is compromised, fatherhood and husbandhood, it's going to have some chaos associated with it. The reason why I share that talking point is that the intent behind us being husbands and fathers has to be so clear that we're going to have to start being very meticulous, strategic, and intentional when it comes down to who we share our bodies with. All right. Right now, I am showing young men in communities across this state and across this country. I am showing them the perspective of how to date like you're already a single father when you have no children. And some of the young men were like, well, why do I have to date like I'm already a single father? I said, because your choices will affect your children. Anytime right now, I always ask men right now, and I had this presentation last year. I used to ask this question, what is love without respect? And a lot of people don't know how to respond to that. You know, they have certain responses. And when I ask you that, gentlemen, if y'all have access to the chat, I want you to put in the chat what you think that is. What is love without respect? I'm going to read some of those off. What is love without respect? Now, look at Corinthians 13, and verse 4. Love is patient and kind. And the beautiful thing about love, gentlemen, biblically, it lets you know the two basic requirements of love. And then it lets you know the boundaries of love. When you keep reading, it starts letting you know what love is not and what is not included when the word love is there. So I want y'all to be very careful about allowing mistreatment and abuse to take place under the guise of the word love. Anytime when you hear that word, and I know some of y'all have heard that word a lot, which makes the word love so interesting and in many cases dangerous, is because depending on who you're talking to, the word love is not clearly defined. It's usually associated with a feeling, albeit a temporary feeling at that moment. And just because someone has a specific feeling, they will associate that feeling with the word love. But if you really start looking at the biblical look at the biblical characteristics of love, I want y'all to understand too that patience and kindness, those are both skills, gentlemen. Those are skills. Those are skills. When you look at the first two ingredients of love, biblical love, they're skills. It's not a feeling. When you are patient, patience is not a feeling. It's a strategy, is it not, gentlemen? When you're kind, when you're showing kindness to people, when you have consistent character, it's the way you do that. And I looked up, if you really want to dive deep into this, when you look up patience and kindness, look up, you can do a quick Google search. Is patience a skill? Is kindness a skill? They are not feelings. When you start reading the verse a little bit more, it starts letting you know what you do not have to put up with in the name of love. And if you all are looking at it, I want to see if you all are reading it now. Look at some of the words that lets you know you do not have to put up with. It does not boast. You do not have to put up with someone boasting above you, who are trying to outrank you, who are trying to diminish you. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing. So anytime when you're not at your happiest, when somebody is rejoicing at your demise, gentlemen, that is not love. And again, remember that story, that instance where the gentleman told me about shotgun weddings. There's a lot of leverage that took place in a lot of marriages, gentlemen. A lot of leverage. And there's a difference between love and leverage. When you start looking at the words in Corinthians 13, you start seeing a lot of leverage in some of the barriers that love is supposed to not include. It does not brag, it does not boast, it does not rejoice in wrongdoing, it does not give account of wrongdoing. Do y'all see where we're going with this? So a lot of our men have been told and have been raised to be good men, and I want to really investigate that word good. In the very beginning, when you start reading Genesis, and gentlemen, this is not my opinion. This is biblical. Now, I'm not a Bible scholar, brothers, but I do read it with men, and we kind of break it down to the point where it's digestible and it's strategic, and we can practice it. When you start looking at the word good, at the very beginning of the Bible, any and everything that God made, he said it was what? It was good. So in the process of trying to be good subconsciously, brothers, and we're talking about men's mental health, anytime when you go around declaring that you're trying to be a good man, subconsciously, what have you already accepted about yourself? I want someone to put that in the chat. If you're trying to be a good person, subconsciously, what might have you said about yourself to yourself? I asked, what's love without respect? I see toxic and manipulation is incomplete and unhealthy, hostile interactions, consistent misunderstandings, and disappointments. Right. And so when people think that, hey, I'm just trying to be a good person, Why are you trying to be something that God made you into? I'm not saying that we don't have saying that we don't have things that we need to strive for, but I want y'all to be very careful about this. You're trying to be good by whose standards? Are we trying to be accepted by society, or we're trying to be obedient to God? Let's think. The best way to be good according to what God asks us to do is to be in his image and his likeness. When you're in his image and his likeness and you are fruitful and you multiply, I want you to understand your earthly assignment is inconvenient to people who are not living theirs. I want y'all to hear what I just said. If you are living your God-given assignment, you will be inconvenient to the ones who are not living theirs or who choose to be intimidated by your presence. If you're in the image and likeness of God and anyone has any resentment towards God and you live in a godly image and likeness, we have to start expecting that we may not be welcomed in every place, but we do belong. I'm going to repeat what I'm saying because sometimes that narrative can get repeated so long that it becomes a part of our psyche, right? Now, some of us have grown up in households without our father physically present. And some of us have been growing up in households where our father was physically present, but spiritually absent. Let me give you an example of what I mean. I had a talk with a young man today, and he was saying, well, Dr. Pugh, my dad was there. He bought us all type of things, but I saw him being ran by the women in my family. He didn't stand up. Only thing he did was constantly trying to be a good man, where he just let so many things go by the wayside. I never saw him stand up when things were wrong. He wanted to keep the peace so much that he allowed chaos. And I sat there and listened to that young man for a long, long time. And I'm wondering, so many people were talking about fathers inside the household physically. It does take a toll on you when your father is physical and not spiritual. That manhood has to be present and it has to be performed in front of our children. Our children's confidence comes from the head of the family. If you started that family and they bear your last name, and I want to say something that you may not agree with, but I'm looking at it in today's society. Your last name is your first political party. Your last name is your first political party. You own that team. It's not Democrat or Republican. I was born in the Pugh Party. You were born in the Dean Party. You were born in the Smith Party. You were born in the Holloman Party. Every time you get up, every day you represent. And a lot of people may not understand that when you're dealing with politics, just who you represent, you're not going to be liked. And I want us to be very clear on how we have focused on trying to be liked and validated. And we end up not even being obedient to our very first assignment, which is being in his image and his likeness. When we move in a godlike way, people run when they have not completed or have at least honored God in the first place. Remember, Christ in John 15 said, if they hated me, they're going to hate you too. The way I move is going to trigger some people in this world. This world may hate you, but just know that I love you. When we start living our life in the way that we're supposed to live it, we're going to be extremely inconvenient, and sometimes we're going to irritate people. And gentlemen, you have to understand who you are and why you're here, so you won't compromise yourself for any type of validation and or comfort. I'm going to tell you something too, gentlemen. When you stand up for righteousness, discomfort is a byproduct. It's almost like cause and effect, gentlemen. When you're dealing with provision and protection, I know a lot of us have been told, "Hey, men are supposed to protect and provide." And one of the things that I am noticing is that, unfortunately, a lot of men don't even know how to include themselves in their own families. What do I mean? I even say it myself, gentlemen, and one of the things that I've experienced as a new father, I'm still a young father. I know we got some fathers on the call who got teenagers, you got 20 and 30 years old, and God bless you, man, but I got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. And they're teaching me something each and every day. But one thing it has exposed to me is that sometimes I'm so focused on the protection and the provision that I forget to include myself in my own family. And that's something as fathers we're going to have to make sure we are intentional about, because if you exclude yourself out of your own family, that is a form of abuse. You're supposed to look after your entire family, which is you too. When you're protecting your family, you have to protect yourself. That does not require you to subject yourself to any type of verbal abuse, financial abuse, emotional abuse, neglect, any of those type of things in the name of love. Well, I know how things are, man, but I got to do what I got to do. I got to be a man. Before we were men, we were human beings. And one of the things that through psychological and spiritual warfare, a lot of men are finding it hard to be a man and a human being at the same time. We're going to have to start investigating what it looks like to be a man without sacrificing our humanity. We are not just soldiers to fight fights each and every day. Um, we are required to rest as well. We are required to make sure that we pick the right people to be in our circle. We are required to make sure we understand our assignment and to move forward in that assignment, no matter who is uncomfortable. Now, I want to go into this route too, and any type of questions. The biggest thing I want to do is have Q&A, because sometimes direct questions give direct answers, right? But I do want to talk about that shotgun wedding that I was talking about at the very beginning. When you find a wife, you find a good thing. And a lot of times when we look at that passage, we assume the wife is the good thing. We assume that the wife is the good thing. Well, it's separated for a reason. When you find a wife, you will find a good situation. You will find a good predicament. You will find favor. But this is the thing, we have to find a wife. We don't necessarily just have to marry women because we've been dating for a certain amount of time. A lot of men have been pressured into marriage because they've been dating a certain amount of time and they just want to do right by the woman that they're dating. And I see that so many times when we're going through these divorce proceedings that I ask people, why did you get married? Well, we were dating for a while. And I said, well, was she your wife though? And I hear these pauses, gentlemen. I hear a lot of pauses because a lot of men are structured and have been trained and have been programmed to be good men that they're not even honest. Does that make sense to you all? Anytime when you're trying to be something that God already ordained for you and he already declared for you, and you're still trying to be something that he already declared for you, there's going to be a lot of dishonesty involved in that. All right. It's almost like moving the goalpost. Have you seen in our society where a lot of people are saying a real man would, and they fill in the blank with things that they want you to do based off obeying them, based off performing for them, based off exciting them. And this is my pet peeve, based off their entertainment. We don't have to be good for the world. We have to be fruitful. We have to multiply. We got to replenish. We got to subdue. Let me ask y'all a question. Do you think dominion, which is our God-given assignment, do you think it is inconvenient for people who want to control us? I'm going to ask that question again. If God said have that dominion, and your dominion is, I would say, annoying or inconvenient, or my favorite word now that everybody loves to throw out there, triggering, or could be gaslighting someone because you have dominion. It's a huge possibility we're not going to get the quote unquote unconditional love that we think we're going to get from human beings. I'm going to challenge your thought process on something, gentlemen, as I read some more of these statements. It's just a rhetorical question. There's no right or wrong answer because I can't answer it myself, but I do have an idea based on what I'm looking at. Is unconditional love a top-down phenomenon? Meaning unconditional love can only come from God and conditional love can only come from humans. What do y'all think? Unconditional love can come from the top down, meaning God first, and humans, we're really good at conditional love. What do you all think? Agree or disagree? No right or wrong answer, gentlemen. No right or wrong answer. Unconditional love. Let's look at the word unconditional now, because we are people wrapped up in flesh. And I won't answer this question for people, but I will share my perspective. Unconditional love is a top-down approach from God. Conditional love is between human beings. Agree or disagree? So I'm going to read some of this here subconsciously. You think you're not a good person if you're trying to be a good person. You treat others like you would like to be treated instead of how you are being treated. Yep. Embracing the imagine DEI image of God. Uh-huh. No nihilism or self-hatred. Yep. We're talking about, yes, it begins at the top. Unconditional love. You agree. You agree. All right. We disagree. As a parent, I feel I have that for my seeds and want to say my parents feel that way as well. And you are 100% correct on that. No one can tell people where unconditional love because I have not witnessed it in your household. But I want to add a caveat to unconditional love. And I thought that too, right? I said, well, I'm good. I have unconditional love. I love my children. Guess what condition is? They're mine. They're mine. My parents love me because I'm theirs. So y'all see what I'm saying? And I'm not disagreeing with this. I'm just sharing how I'm looking at that. I love my children, and that's a condition because they have my last name. Politically, they're assigned to me. Those are my seeds. So guess what? My love for them is extreme. It is extreme, but it is conditional. When I saw my child for the first time, something clicked in my brain. I said, I think I'm about to be controlled by a newborn. I really said that to myself. The first time I seen, I said, okay, my condition changed. That's why I want y'all to understand what I mean by this, y'all. My condition changed when I saw my children. My conditions changed when I chose my wife. Does that make sense? Everybody don't get in unconditional love. This is based off condition, and there's nothing wrong with that type of condition because I'm honest about my humanity. I have doubts. I have biases. Does that make sense to you all? By assignment, if we're so unconditional to everybody outside of it. Conditional love, y'all. Now, this is the example I want to tell you all about this. Unconditional love is creating a heaven and earth for me before I was even here. I'm preparing for you. You understand what I'm saying? I'm going to tell you also unconditional love. If you really want to test it, put your hand on your chest. Unconditional love is putting something in your chest that beats without your intuition, without your input, without your opinion. When someone gives you everything you need before you were even thought of, not before you thought about it, before you were even thought of. That's that unconditional love. Think about how many things that if God was conditional, how many of us, we wouldn't even be on this call. But look at how parents sometimes we'll go months without talking to our children, not our children. I'm saying, and this is not for us to agree, gentlemen. If y'all have unconditional love for your children and your wives, stick with that, and that's true in your life. But I want you all to understand, fatherhood is a condition. When we became fathers, have y'all noticed that your thought process was extremely accelerated? When you became seeing door exits a different way, you start seeing escape routes a different way. All of a sudden now that protection, that provision start becoming a little bit more intense, right? So we have to understand this too, gentlemen. Our assignment is going to be very, very specific. Be the same, but we were intended to live our assignment on this thing we call Earth. Y'all see there? Okay, gotcha. All righty, so I got another one. Love is transformational from the top down. Okay, I don't think man can truly have unconditional love, just the fact of being human. Mostly everything is driven by conditions or some preconceived notion of what they think it should be. I understand that wholeheartedly. That condition that we are surrounded by this flesh, gentlemen, that's what I'm talking about. Let's think about the unconditional in the spiritual realm, all right? Because I'm not telling you that you're wrong, but I want you to see where I'm coming from. If we're in the flesh, being in flesh is a condition. And we won't be out of this condition until we pass or transition on. Does that make sense? So while we're in the flesh, we're going to be influenced by our hormones, our feelings, our opinions, how we feel about certain things. But that's the reason why we were spirit first and we were flesh second. Our spirit was known by God before we understand the order of things, right? So we don't want us to be absent in spirit and present in the flesh just because we're a father trying to do the right thing. Your children, our wives, our children, even their friends need to see men of spirit, men of purpose, men of being fruitful, and men of multiplication. They need to see our actions. They need to see our words, but they need to see our image and our actions that's going to speak for us. Another thing, too, gentlemen, also remember, if anybody that you know is struggling with a relationship with his father, always ask them, have you ever heard your father tell you his own story? That's extremely critical. Like I said at the very beginning of this call, we have a lot of people who talk about men, but it's very few people who have the skill set to talk directly to men. It's not easy. I don't know how many of y'all have ever seen this. I had a father who was easy to get along with everybody outside the family, but me and him didn't talk that much. I don't know if y'all had that situation. It's not true for everyone, but some of us have had a father that was present. He was a food, water, shelter father. He did what he was supposed to do. But when it came down to that intricate relationship, the words, the affirmations, those things of that nature, that may not have been at the level that you expected, right? But we had a mother who was extremely affectionate. She was emotional, very loving, gave you affirmation, things of that nature, right? Also am witnessing, and I want y'all to consider this. You don't have to agree, but I want you to consider that our mothers love with their emotions and our fathers love with his evidence. Have y'all noticed that a lot of fathers, when we used to talk about that, the topic of love, what are some of y'all fathers used to respond? You got food in your stomach, don't you? You got a roof over your head, right? You got clothes on your back, right? And I used to sit back and I'm like, man, why are all the fathers, specifically all these black fathers, why is that the number one? I don't know if they're reading the same script or what is that's going on. And then one of the elders sat down and told me, he said, hey man, I could talk all day, but it's hard for you to argue with evidence. He said, fatherhood is, well, a lot of people don't know when you enter fatherhood, you enter in the court of law. Anything you can and say will be used against you. That's the reason why a lot of us don't talk. And it blew my mind, gentlemen. It blew my mind. How many of y'all have tried to exercise your dominion just to have your words twisted to make a trap for fools? Had to stand for righteousness just to have your image distorted because you were inconvenient, right? And a lot of our men don't even know how to handle that within their own family, the ones that we're assigned to. And that's a struggle that I'm seeing a lot of our men in our families. How can we handle when things go from love to leverage, right? When people start boasting, when people start rejoicing in wrongdoing, when people start looking at your dominion as control or abuse. And I want y'all to understand this too. People who don't like responsibility look at accountability as abuse, gentlemen. We will have to be man enough to stand up to the labels of this world. This world is not going to ease up on labeling us as abusers, as deadbeats. Like the labels are going to just be laid on thick in the next 5 to 10 years. And we have to know this. And we have to understand that it's a response to our image and likeness. Our first assignment of being fruitful and multiplying, replenishing. This is spiritual warfare first. Remember, when we're warring in the flesh, remember, it began in the spirit world first. So fatherhood is textbook spiritual warfare, gentlemen. Sometimes when we have spirits that enter in our own families, and you wondering where some of these talking points are coming from, you're wondering why some of these attitudes are coming from, and you are sacrificing each and every day. You're working all these hours. You're trying to do all these business deals. You're traveling all over the place just to try to feed the people who may not even understand your purpose. And your job is not to compromise your purpose just because someone's uncomfortable. I want you to be present. I do want you to be verbal with your family, what your assignment is. And it's not based off their comfort. It's based off their favor. We decided to get married. We found favor when we decided to have children. There's favor in that, but one thing I do want to acknowledge is that favor also comes with challenges. Have y'all ever noticed that in the Bible, every time somebody receives some type of favor, that followed immediately? Have y'all ever noticed that? Okay, so watch this. If I find a wife, I find a good thing, and I have favor, don't you notice that there was challenges right after Adam found his wife? So one of the most critical things you can do. And I will tell you this, some people like to call hard, it's nothing more gangster than trying to start a family in this world. I have not seen anything more difficult than knowing how this world is set up. And you intentionally choose a wife, hold her up in the air, and say, hey, y'all, this is my wife, and I'm going to say this in public. And if you really look at in Genesis in the Garden of Eden, that's when the serpent pops up. As soon as you declare, this is my wife. And that's the reason why a lot of people wonder, you ever had somebody say, man, I wonder where all these divorces are coming from. I said, man, favor is challenging. As soon as you get a wife, as soon as you enter into holy matrimony, warfare looks like it's declared immediately. We don't even see the serpent until Adam got married. Y'all see what I'm talking about here, gentlemen? The serpent has access to our wives. The serpent has access to our families. The serpent has access to our jobs, and our and know what we're supposed to do in the process. This is not opinionated, brothers. If we're looking at the Bible as the word of God and the strategy of our life, it's written. It don't have to be stated all the time for us to understand it. But when you start looking at what's written and look at the patterns in the Bible about what certain things have taken place, you'll understand how to prepare for certain things instead of having expectations. So I will tell you, your preparation will be better off than your expectation. Expecting world peace, good luck, gentlemen. Good luck. I've never seen it. I don't even know when it was written. As soon as humans got here, conflict popped off. So you may not have peace from the world, but that peace that you have when aligning with God's will for your life, you can experience peace. Just like we started with Brother Dean said earlier. You may not have enough time, but you got more than enough opportunities. You have a plethora of opportunities your entire life if you understand that I could share. Brother Chair, what are we looking like on time?
We're at about 10, 11 minutes till the hour of 8. So we're still within our time frame.
Got you, and that's an hour. So what I want to do is I do want to open up the floor for any questions or statements. Because remember also too, manhood and fatherhood, our assignments may be general in the Bible, but your soul belongs to God. I can't tell you how to live your manhood, your fatherhood, how to take care of your family. So some of the things that I'm talking about, gentlemen, may not be directly towards you. It may not apply to you because I did not create you. I didn't give you your assignment, so I don't have jurisdiction to tell you how to live this assignment called manhood and fatherhood. I'm just letting you know what I've seen and some perspectives I want you to challenge and some things I want you to investigate. I want you to get into the word and start looking at the patterns that you saw Adam go through. I want you to understand that some people will talk to who has access to you before they talk to you. And you have to be very prepared for that and not take it personal, but you have to take it purposeful. So what we're going to do now is open up the floor for any questions or concerns or comments at this time, brothers. I want to make sure this is interactive and get down to the bottom, and I can add clarity for any statement that I've given. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Brother Pugh. So is there anyone who may have some questions or a comment or a dialogue that we can transition or pivot to?
But yeah, this is Brother Harry Scott. I would like to make a comment or ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy the dialogue so far, Brother Pugh. Can you give me your opinion on where does love rank in the selection of a mate, given that in the past it was not, I would say, number one on the list. Nowadays, it seems like love plays a higher role in the things that we're looking for. What is your opinion on that?
The beautiful thing about this world, they prioritize feelings before favor. And the biggest thing about in the spirit world, our favor comes before our feelings. If you really start looking at things in order, and if you really look at anything that's anti-Christ, is anything that Christ stands for, and they flip it, they invert it, right? So right now, instead of looking in the spiritual realm, they want you to look in the flesh realm. Who feels good? Who looks cute? What's temporary? Put anything that's temporary over anything that's long lasting. Right now, let's look at how the term "happy wife, happy life" and what that has done to a lot of marriages, right? A lot of people don't even know a happy wife, happy life came from a wedding ring company. It's not even biblical. When you look at Genesis, we're not even in control of her happiness. Our job is specific. It was never about having a feeling. It was about how we treated each other. Does that make sense? So sometimes when we have feelings prioritized over our purpose, we ended up in entertaining people and not necessarily living our purpose. So right now, what you're seeing is by design. If we can put feelings over our assignment, you can end up putting a lot of effort into a marriage that never even existed. You know how many people who have actually married a woman instead of marrying his wife? Because he thought he had to pursue and entertain a lot of different people. I said this before, and I had a lot of pushback, and rightfully so. I said, gentlemen, you don't have to pursue your wife. She will be presented to you. And a lot of people are like, well, that doesn't make sense, man. I was told, man, when you see a woman, you go up to her and talk to her and X, Y, and Z. I said, beautiful. However, if you want to go what's written, she will be helpful and suitable. If you live in your purpose, somebody is going to show up and start helping you and being suitable to you. Your job is to recognize and pursue that wife, not just a woman who's looking cute and available. And that's what happens. We are prioritizing how people look, what things look like. If you really start looking at social media is a mental battleground right about now where people are dealing with images and overstimulated and feel like how the senses, they're oversensitized to it because our feelings, and they don't even talk about the favor. How many times have you scrolled up and said, hey, do y'all know how to vet your wife? Or do we just call a girl who looks good wifey? Do you see how that works? We can call some with these words matter. Of this world is feelings, 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 happiness, 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 and we have no favor at all. So, Brother Scott, hopefully that's my opinion on that. Feelings are going to be prioritized because our favor can really change the world. That's the reason why they need men in their feelings.
Brother Pugh, I have a question.
Yes.
First of all, I just want to say, I definitely enjoy this dialogue, and also, Brother Dean, thank you for putting this together, man. We got to talk about this often, dialogue about it often within our village, Black male village. Brother Pugh, I got a question for you, and that question is,
yes,
how do you balance as a man discipline in the home versus what the courts and the legal systems set out as boundaries?
Oh man, thank you so much. All right. So if you really look at our assignment in the home, we're in the image and likeness of God. So that means we have to be familiar with the laws of God and the laws of the land, right? So this is one of the things that I'm so glad that you asked that, because I'm noticing a lot of men who are losing custody over their children because they don't know the laws of God and they don't know the laws of the land. When you are actually laying down the law or providing discipline to your children, this is one of the things that I'm noticing as a new father. It's hard for me to lay down a law I don't follow. This is what I want to say it very slowly, gentlemen, because I admit to my daughter I was a hypocrite the other day. I'm telling her she watched too much TV, but she didn't buy it and she didn't turn it on. You understand what I'm saying? So the law that I'm obeying in my own house, I have to exude that behavior. I'm noticing now that if I want my children to read more, guess who got to read more? Me. So it's one of those things that our image and likeness is so critical that our image and likeness is law in the house. It is the discipline in the house. With how we act and behave and how we treat each other, Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that people don't go to the wayside and we can't step in, but I promise you, when our behavior is consistent, you'll be surprised how many people follow suit. And let me address the legal matters. I think it is extremely imperative, and I'm going to ask the brothers if can y'all consider this. I want all the brothers to consider having a study group with the U.S. Constitution and the state constitution, and look at how many laws that are written specifically for men in domestic violence situations, because now our dominion has been labeled as domestic violence when somebody's uncomfortable. I want y'all to be very clear on this, because I can't speak for every courtroom. When somebody can feel some type of way and judge you in a court of law, we're dealing with a court of feelings as well. So I want y'all to know your rights. One thing I'm asking men to do, please don't argue with anybody at this point. Don't argue with anybody. Say what you're supposed to say, and then you sit back and believe the behavior. Once the behavior lets you know the amount of the level of respect in the home, then you adjust and it tells you. You stay in his image and his likeness. You be fruitful. You continuously plant seeds and you produce in front of your people. Because sometimes your children are just trying to find out which parent is not lying. I promise you this. A lot of the men that's going through divorce right now, they're going through a divorce by a woman who was never their wife, but he married a woman that had his child. Okay, so you're dealing with a lot of leverage in the court systems. And right now, and honestly, brothers, I haven't read enough law. This is my opinion. Let me be clear about this. I haven't read everything of some of these men trying to get custody of their children. What is happening now is if you did not marry someone who is spiritually and legally your wife, but in the flesh, she's your wife, there's a huge possibility some people are starting arguments in front of children. And notice, police don't get called until the voice of a man is heard. Have y'all noticed that pattern? So what I am noticing this pattern now is people are starting fights in front of children. And by the time the police get called, now you're in child endangerment, domestic violence, and good luck trying to get that off your record as soon as you're on social media. Okay, so I'm asking men right now, and brother, I don't know a lot of laws, but I see the ramifications and the results of them. I'm asking men, don't argue with anybody. If you find yourself repeating yourself, just say it once, and the person has decided they're not going to understand you, start believing the behavior instead of hoping for something else. Belief and evidence is amazing to men. We move off evidence, not off feelings, right? So when it come down to the law, gentlemen, we have to know it, read it. You need to know what the weapons forms against you. It's not that they won't form. We might need to know what they are so they can't prosper if we're competent and confident about what's set up against us. Does that make sense? We need to know the weapons that's formed against us. I think we just say it, but we don't know all the weapons. You need to know if that's a gun. You need to know if that's a knife. You need to know if there's napalm. You need to know if there's dynamite. There are different weapons set up against us, and every weapon does not require our same behavior. Some weapons you just stay out of the way of. Other weapons you can confiscate. Does that make sense? So there's some weapons that are bear trap, like pitfalls and bear traps and quicksand. That's a weapon. If they use it, you ever notice they have traps in guerrilla warfare? All of my veterans, all of my military brothers, y'all know what I'm talking about when y'all out in the field and they have things set up against you. That may not be a weapon in somebody's hand, but it's a weapon for you to walk into. So our legal system has so many different weapons that we can just walk into, and the only thing they need you to be is in your feelings. That's all they need, gentlemen. So live in your favor. Consider your feelings, because your feelings is just I don't want to minimize our feelings, but our feelings are a message. It's the message. It's just saying, hey, something you need to pay attention to. But it's almost like a siren. You don't have to sit there and try to decipher a siren. You need to be thinking about your next move. I always ask men, before you make a move, always ask yourself, and then what? I remember Brother Jones used to sit us down at Georgia Southern for periods of time and say, before you make this emotional decision, do you know what's going to happen in the next 10 years after you make this decision? What is the benefit of this decision? And he will make us have to sit there and say what the benefit of that decision was. And the benefit was so dumb that we decided we didn't have to do it. So, gentlemen, just like you wouldn't sign up for a job without a benefits package, hopefully that answered your question, brother. I know that was lengthy, but that was the question that I really needed asked. There's so many men going to jail and losing custody of their children because they're being leveraged in by a woman who is not his wife. He's married to her, but she wasn't presented and she wasn't helpful or suitable, but he married her trying to be a good man.
Brother Pugh, I have a follow-on
Yes, sir.
question based off of what you just stated. What are your thoughts about the difference between being the head of your household and being a leader in your household?
Oh, that's amazing. The head of the household is the position. The leader is the skill set. It's the patience. It's the kindness. It's the soft skills. It's the example. Because I can be the head of the household because I'm the man, right? Somebody, when they come to the household, somehow it gravitates to me because I'm in that position. I can even live in a house that I don't own. I can still be the head of the house, some kind of way, because I have that assignment of manhood. But leadership is a skill set, and it goes through experience and consistent decision making. And also, leadership comes through allowing your mistakes to teach you. Leadership has nothing to do with perfection. Matter of fact, perfection is the opposite of leadership because people who are perfect often lie to keep that persona. Because see, remember, our position is way more important than our persona. That persona, we still look for validation and want people to like us because we want us to be good. That perfection is that desire to be good. But as far as the head of the household, my leadership lets people see it clearly. My skill set allows people to see my position. Just my being in the house, I could be head of the family, but if I'm not lead, you remember that young man I said earlier? My dad was there, but he was ran by everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was in the head position, but his leadership was lacking. See, leadership is also spiritual. You can be physically there in a position, and your spirit of leadership is lacking. So that's the difference. That leadership is who you are. You have to be, and when God breathed into our nostrils, we became a living soul, not just a body for people to bank off of. We got to be more than just entertaining people. We got to be more than just trying to say I'm a good man. Look at me, I pay all the bills. And this right here is killing us. I'm going to tell you some wild stuff. A lot of people are, and I had a young man told me this not so long ago, and it disturbed me. He said, Dr. Pugh, I didn't know I needed $100,000 to date a girl. He literally said that to me the other day. He said, I didn't know I needed $100,000 to date a girl. This boy's in middle school. And I said, man, it's reaching to our little boys, but watch this, gentlemen. At first I smiled, and then I realized, well, if he thinks he can get his companion off $100,000, he'll never read in Genesis that God presented him to him for free. You have to be resting. You have to be in a replenish mode. He put Adam to sleep. It wasn't because he was just lazy. He was still. Sometimes we have to be still to be presented our wife. Because when we move in the egg, and that's what I got from it. I didn't write it, but the more and more I keep reading it, when he put Adam to sleep, that means Adam wasn't ripping and running trying to prove himself either. He wasn't ripping and running trying to hit the next lick. He wasn't ripping and running trying to buy another car, live in a new condo. Adam was resting when he got presented his wife. And a lot of these men are in entertainment mode, trying to be something that they're not when they never had to be. Remember, being a man, if God decided he gave it to us for free, that's provision. When you can give me something without earning it. And that leadership is based off us knowing who we are. And we got to go with what's written. And also, too, on top of what's written, we got to look at the patterns of life. Nobody can replace your granddaddy, no matter how much they talk about him. At the end of the day, they still talking about him because why? He was the head of what? He was the head of their family. You see how many people keep trying to say what he wasn't? It's just because they don't know how to honor you. Some people are spiritually, or I would say socially illiterate, because if you can't read your father, you can misquote him. One of the things I ask men to do, if you really want to get to know your father, start looking at your mother like a woman, and you'll be able to see your father clearly. That's the beginning of it. Hopefully that answered your question, brother. Brother Boston.
Brother Pugh.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Brother Pugh.
Yes.
Brother Pugh. This is Brother Jones.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
in today's society, extremely harder. I would have did like my bro bosses had children at a younger age, because in today's society it's extremely harder trying to compete with technology, modern days ways of thinking, social media, and everything like that. And you ain't got to go into elaborate conversation or tools, but what's some modern day tools for us as fathers to be good fathers in today's society?
Right now, allow your children to teach you what they know, because in order for them to be good listeners, we have to show them what listening looks like. So I'll give you a quick example. When I go to elementary schools and people don't know how to communicate with the youth, I would go in with a Minecraft shirt or some type of cartoon or whatever they like. And I say, look, I don't know what this is. Can somebody tell me? Next thing you know, they done did a campfire circle around me and they can't stop talking. And I'm in there for behavior, right? But guess what happens? When they're engaged and they're in a position where they can share knowledge, I promise you, y'all, anybody who's sharing knowledge often is not hostile. I've noticed that my entire life. Anybody who's sharing some knowledge, they're not hostile and they're not distracted, because you have to concentrate to share knowledge. Have y'all noticed that? You don't have to concentrate just to share opinions, but when you're around young people, I think across the board, and I'm going to land this here. One thing I had to really just tell myself, my day is not today. Okay. So when I go in there, I can go in talking about what I had when I was their age, but I'm noticing now, gentlemen, we're going to have to be honest that these young people do not have a village the way we had in the 70s and in the 80s. They don't have somebody they can go next door where they can get something to eat. The trust level is low. Just being honest with you. It was several streets you can go on where there were men up and down those streets. If you didn't have a father in the home, the coach was your father. The deacon was your father. You understand? The principal was your father. Like, I had so many male principals, people think I'm lying. But I had male principals almost my entire K through 12 experience. So what do we need to do? Just honor that their day is not today. This is the most distracted generation we've ever had. They're overly entertained and undereducated. So we have to be real patient, not to expect them to be like how we were. They don't have the same level of camaraderie. They don't have the same skill set, the communication skills. You remember a long time ago, we would have to go and speak to adults. When an adult came in the room, we'd have to, hey, how you doing? It was social skills practice. Right now, they tell them you ain't got to say nothing if you don't feel like it. It's based in feelings now. Back then, it was based on structure. So right now, as older men, trust the old school. The old school will never go out of business. Old school, we don't have old school expectations. We have to let them know, hey, this is what the old school, it does not close. It's open for business. You will speak. You will pull that chair out for your mother. You will speak to your grandmother. You're going to make sure that stuff has to happen, because these boys looking for consequences like it's going out of style. They're just right now, the reason why a lot of them are emotional hostile, they don't know anybody who's going to give them consistent consequences. They don't know who's lying. Right now, they're just trying to be paid off, and they're resenting all of us. Last thing I would land it here. The children are finding out when the parents don't like each other. So right now, I'm going to the younger generation. Who you choose will determine. Because if you marry your enemy, you'll have to negotiate seeing your children, and that's not the fatherhood you want. Hopefully that answers your question, team.
Brother Pugh, before you...
If it didn't, you'll get me later. What's up?
You already know.
Yep.
So, Brother Pugh, before you wrap up, could you touch on some things that men could do as far as self-care, just to wrap it up on this, because it's that Father's Day coming along, and I think self-care is something that we need to mention as well.
I need to start off by saying this. Tell your family what to get you. And I mean that. And I say this jokingly, but I'm so serious. I can't tell you how many men have considered leaving their family or leaving Earth because they've been disrespected on Father's Day. I'm so serious, very serious. So if your family does not know how to treat you, you go lay it out to the point they can't deny it. I don't care if you feel awkward, gentlemen. Sometimes self-care is awkward. Go and tell your family, this is how you respect me. Look, everybody gather around. This is how you respect me on Father's Day. You don't ask me to pay for my meal. I want y'all to take, like I'm telling you, if it's now, some fathers like paying for meals on Father. This ain't got nothing to do with everybody. But if they respect you by you doing fatherhood stuff on that day, brother, so be it. Some days you can't ruin it for him because he just enjoy being a father. But I'm noticing how many men are disrespected all year, that they have expectations on this one day. You might want to teach your family how to treat you. That's self-care number one. Disappointing people without disrespecting. There's a power of no, because boundaries is the only way people can respect you. I'm going to ask y'all to consider boundaries like state lines. Have y'all noticed when you're on your GPS and you cross state lines, they say, hey, welcome, you're in South Carolina. Welcome to Tennessee. It lets you know where you stand, right? Children need boundaries from their fathers so bad. They need to know where they stand. And the reason why they're so emotional is the father's not personally there inside the home. That's the reason why they're reaching out. So self-care is consistency. Taking care of yourself. Gentlemen, they have to see you cook for yourself. They have to see you work out. They have to see you wash your car. Brothers, I need you to know something. This is something serious. My therapist made me do this. He said, you need to buy yourself gifts and unwrap them in front of your family. I said, come on, man. That's just, what? He said, yes, you are a part of the family. And I'm telling you, self-care is inviting yourself, gentlemen. I'm going to tell you, a lot of men die of heart disease, right? A lot of men die of heart disease because they have a big heart, but they don't even allow themselves in it. That's where their heart disease comes from. So, brothers, I'm not asking you to dangle gifts in front of, I'm not asking you to antagonize brothers, but I need you to be a part of your own family today. I don't care who gets offended. They should be, because if their mind wasn't right, they're supposed to be offended. You can disappoint people without disrespecting them. And I want you to know this, being a good man, we think disappointment is disrespect. It is not. Self-care starts with telling yourself the truth, not waiting on everybody else to do it. Because sometimes it ain't coming. Some people fake it till they make it. Some people fake the truth from people. You understand what I'm saying? Tell your children the truth. When they're disrespectful, hey, you just disrespected daddy. I'm going to be patient and kind, but I got to remove access. Last but not least, one of the top things of self-care, I need men to understand this. There's a difference between patience and tolerance. I want y'all to put this in your notes, type it in your phone. I want y'all to hear me loud and clear. Unfortunately, a lot of men have been so patient, they went over to tolerance and didn't even know it. Okay? Patience is how you conduct yourself. Tolerance is what you allow. I'm gonna repeat it. Patience is you're not emotionally controlled by stimuli. Does that make sense? Your external world. Patience means, okay, I'm not going to let my outside world control my inner thoughts and my inner spirit. That's patience. I'm going to take my time and I'm not. When you let people talk to you any kind of way in front of your family, your children, in front of your wife. Now, am I asking you to get into arguments? Absolutely not. That's the opposite of. What I'm asking you to do this. When you're patient and someone still can't respect you, remove access immediately. That's self-care. If somebody's throwing fiery darts at you, don't just stand there. You don't have to prove you're a man by how much pain you can take. You are not supposed to prove how strong you are by lifting things that don't belong to you. That's self-care. Some people have a right to be upset, but they don't have a right to disrespect you. I'm going to repeat that, gentlemen. Some people have a right to be upset, but they have no right to yell at you or disrespect you. That is not being a man. That is being a doormat. Does that make sense? Now, if somebody's upset, you know what a self-care is too? If someone can't tell you the truth, you still have to get there. And I'm going to show you how to do it. If somebody's upset with you, what you're going to do is develop the parameters around the conversation. Somebody can be upset with you and not disrespect you at the same time. I want y'all to practice that. And if people don't know how to do it, close off access until they get their mind right and then teach them when they're ready. But all this going back and forth, trying to teach people how to respect you, trust me, they know how to respect people they already chose to respect. They never had to have this talk with their bosses. They never had to have this talk with other members of authority. So be very careful of how to repeat yourself to people who already know how to respect you, but they're just choosing not to. Your job is to remove access, and when you remove access, that is a sign of self-respect. It is not leaving your family, gentlemen. If somebody is throwing something at you and you move out the way, that is self-care. That is not abandonment. Some of us, and a lot of men have told me this, I left my family to stay alive, Dr. Pugh. And I'm called a deadbeat when I was clearly dying because of the disrespect I had in my own home. What can I say to that, gentleman? His blood pressure is normal. Cholesterol done went down. Headaches are gone. And he had to leave his family to stay alive. Asking men to leave their families? No. That's it.
Thank you so much, Brother Pugh. Are there any other questions or comments any other brothers want to make? Again, we'd like to thank Brother Pugh for those words of wisdom, those pearls that he's given us. At this time, I will pass it to the Brother Basilis for closing remarks.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Chair. Brother Pugh, as always, job well done, my brother. Job well done. Thank you for this powerful presentation as it relates to the challenges that men face in this society and how we're viewed and how we should respond regarding our responsibilities in our homes. It was very powerful, very informative, and just want to thank you for sharing with us your time and your talents, my good brother. You are truly good at what you do, and you do not withhold your services from the brother. So we thank you, and we truly appreciate you. Brothers, I also want to thank you all for being involved and interactive with this important message that we received today from our good brother. Again, we are trying to be better men. Our goal each day is to be better men, and we aim to do that by continuing to educate ourselves and having these type of discussions, which allow us to grow, see things differently, it provides us new perspectives. And it is also a fraternity mandate that we execute conversations such as these to facilitate our management of the Fatherhood Initiative program, which is one of the 12 mandated programs of our beloved fraternity. So again, brothers, I thank you all for being on the call. Again, Brother Pugh, I thank you for giving of yourself to be with us this evening. With that, Brother Chair, I yield back to you, sir.
Thank you, Brother Basilis. Again, Brother Pugh, can't thank you enough. Your platform is out there. We've asked brothers to make sure that they go on there. That Thrival kit, you can make sure I'll let you know you got a sale with me. I'm gonna go and pick that up, share that with my young sons, and have him understand that the road and the track that we're preparing him for. With that being said, I want to ask Brother State to close us out with prayer. And that will end this session. Again, thank you all for being on the call this evening. And thank you again, Brother Pugh.
My pleasure. Thank you, brothers. Thank you.
All right, brothers. Let's pray. Let's pray. God, how we thank you now for what we have heard and what we have felt. Pray that we do not take this and leave it here. May we apply it to our everyday lives because, like it's been stated before, we want to do better and to be better. And you can help us to do that, oh God. So thank you for this time together. Bless us now as we dismiss from this meeting. Let us have good rest and good sleep and wake us up in the morning, if it's your will, to serve you even the more. Thank you again for being so good to us. In Jesus' name we trust and pray. Amen.
Amen.
Man.
Have a good night, brothers.
Amen. True.
Good night, brother.
Happy centennial, bros.
Thank you. Thank you.
Always, man. Love y'all, man.
Hey, we love you too.
Excellent job, Dr. Pugh. Appreciate you, brother. Sure.
Always, brother. Always.